Recording in progress.
All right, what is up, ladies and gents? We're going to do this one a little bit differently. We're going to do this one not on a live, because on my live, I think either it's my internet connection or something that it's a little slow. So let's jump right into it. So what did we go over yesterday? Let's go back into it, yeah? Edom Online. We discovered that I don't need to share sound. I'll do it anyway, whatever. So anion, well, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to optimize for video clip. So we get anion, a negatively charged ion which moves toward the anode during electrolysis. Again, it is the yin principle, which is the surrender principle. We have the cation, which means going down, because the cation goes to the cathode because positive electricity falls down. And positive electricity is the active principle, is the principle of movement, right? So now we transfer this over to the field of females and males. So it's very interesting, like the other day we went over the fact that, again, dogs are much more negative principle. They're much more reactive, and they're exactly a reflection of the owner, whereas cats are their own owner. So in a relationship, the cat, the man, has a duty to not reflect any negative energy or vibrations to the female, because the female will pick it all up, even subconsciously, right? So it's these kinds of things that we need to realize, that the man is the programmer, the man is the captain of the ship, the man is the one who is leading the direction. The woman, in some sense, is free of direction, more so. Again, a man can have a moment of stillness that's without direction and find that right direction, sure. And the woman, again, out of her not having a direction, having a clear, objective, passive viewpoint, she can receive everything that is and then act from it too. So I'm not saying that, just because I'm a guy, I'm separated from the female principle or yin. But it's just the masculine principle is more profound or more expressed in me. So these kinds of things. And if we look at it in vernacular, when a man says another man is his bitch, that's not a very good thing, right? It's not a good thing to be a bitch, right? No one respects a bitch. People, respect people that have actual, logical, reasonable, plausible conclusions or examinations and are willing to budge and look differently if presented with the facts. A bitch doesn't need facts to be presented, just can be hypnotized. So a lot of men today are bitches to other men, to their parents, to whatever. And that's not good. That's unhealthy for a man. Now, for a woman, a female dog is a bitch, right? So for a woman, it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you look at it into the animal biological realm. Right now in society, it's been put in that fashion where we, in some sense, subjugate the animal and give it more power over how we're going to think of dogs or of words and stuff, right? So, see, look, but conversely, as a term, contempt applied to women, it dates 4,000 or 1,400, whatever, right? And then 1,500, playfully in the sense of dog, whatever. But anyhow, so what I'm saying is language, with language, there's a huge war being fought, right? And I'm not going to go around calling people bitches unless they deserve to be, right? But I'm saying that it's more natural for a female to be that word, that B word, right, that no one wants to say, than a man. Because a female likes a man with direction. I mean, just for example, think about when you go on a date with a man. If a man has no direction, it's just like, oh, whatever, I don't really know what we're going to do. What do you want to do? That's not a fun guy. A woman likes a man who takes the ship to the best views, to the best places, right? All of these kinds of things. So let's see. Exactly. So a woman will only follow a man that she respects. The moment the woman tries to, weaken the man, and the man acquiesces and gets weak to the woman, she loses respect for him. And Patrice O'Neill goes into this, but basically what happens is it's like a shark playing with a different its prey, right? If sharks normally date other sharks, if female sharks normally date other female sharks, the female shark doesn't like how the male shark is treating her, so she goes and hangs out with the penguin. But that's what happens when a woman dwindles the respect so down that she doesn't look at the man as a leader. So she won't listen to the man. But if the man is a real shark, right? Maybe shark is not the best example, but if a man is the apex, is at the top of his game, is real sharp, she listens to him because she knows what he has to say is worthwhile to be listened to. So it's these kinds of things. It's also a time thing and a value thing, right? How much value is your time? Or how much is your time, how valuable is your time, right? How clear are you in the observation? It's these kinds of things a woman is looking for. Is one who is supremely logical, again, plausible, reasonable, right? And doesn't need to be a bitch to justify his actions. So it's these kinds of things. The woman's role is to be that bitch, but not in a negative, all this kind of, like a negative connotation, but in the negative principle, yes. Again, because the negative principle is that which yields and surrenders. It's subtle, and you could look at action as somewhat unintelligent or brutal, right? So the male principle is kind of clumsy, but the female principle is very calm, still, ordered, right? At least I'm talking about like the high value females. So it's these kinds of things that we have to be looking at. So yeah, so again, the dog, if it has no respect for its owner, it won't act accordingly. So basically, the dog must respect the owner or the cat in the relationship, or else the relationship will never work out. A ship with a bad captain will never work out. That's why, again, the dog needs to find a cat that is, again, sharp, clear, logical, reasoned out, all of these things. So what we see in today's society is I think, shame in being a man, and then an unnatural bolstering of what it means to be a woman. Now, I love women, and I've met some fantastic women, but I've also met a lot of women that think they're a lot more fantastic than they are, on the basis of what society is perpetuating right now with the feminism, homophobia, transgenderism, all this kind of stuff. What a man is being diminished day by day. But the world doesn't realize that if you diminish the person who's supposed to be a leader, or the person who's supposed to be a captain, you're going to have weak families, you're going to have a weak society. So that's precisely what we're seeing here, is that even in the legal system and such, the man is taking huge hits, and it's less attractive, and there's less incentive to be a man at all, because the risk is so great. Because again, it's better to not be a man and just be a gay guy and get validation that way. Much harder to see through the existence of being a man. These kinds of things. Oh, and so there's the other thing, is the cat has a responsibility to leave if the dog is not able to be trained. If the dog is too conditioned, again, the cat needs, because look, if the cat never leaves to really traumatized and victim perpetuating dogs, the cat's gonna sink his ship. The captain's gonna sink the ship. So the cat, in order to preserve the ship so that he can provide for people without having one suicide bomber ruin the whole thing, needs to know when to leave. And so right now, men don't know when to leave. Men don't know when to walk away. It's just like what Trump said, art of the deal, right? If you're not willing to walk away from it, you don't have a deal. Because then it's always going to be compromised. So again, you have to move with a sense of uncompromising observation, because no one can tell you how to look. That's impossible. So you can't compromise that way. Impossible. So yeah, so if the dog is overly masculine, overly positively charged, there's nothing the cat can do unless the dog refrains from trying to be a cat, trying to be a man, to being a woman again, and knowing what it means to surrender to the right man. Know what it is to be Mary Magdalene to Jesus. Because here's the thing, this is why I'm not putting down women. Jesus isn't half as powerful without a lady like Mary that is unconditionally loving, that is unconditionally surrendering, right? And again, I'm not telling all women to just go out there and gamble, but I'm saying, be real with what you have to offer to, the guys, right? Like let's just say you're not as attractive or whatever it is, right? Like, be real with that. Because that's what's happening, is a lot of women are lonely and the relationships are not working out, is because they're making up for things, right? They're putting on a front, and later when the front is broken down, this goes for both ways, men and women, right? When the front falls away, suddenly this relationship is not what I signed up for. So again, you have to have enough self-respect, enough of a minimum standard, enough of a minimum wall to know when to walk away. Because essentially, your value is based on your ability to walk away. So that has to always be an option. And again, if the masculine or the cat can't walk away, then he's not respected by the reactive principle. Because the cat is supposed to be not docile, not tamed. So let's see if I covered up most of the things. And that's why, again, so the dog's faults are the cat's faults. Because if the dog can't fix the faults, the cat shouldn't be there. So it's always the cat's fault. It's always the programmer's fault, not the one who's being programmed or deprogramming, right? So women are much more influenceable. That's why the man of the house takes care of the woman until he hands her off to another man. Because a woman is like a diamond that needs protecting. There's immense power and immense magic in a woman, but the whole world is trying to defile it. So there needs to be a respectable man who can take care of the seed and who can, again, preserve, nurture, care, have compassion, all of these things. And in this compassion, in this love, there's no subjective point of view. There's no what I think versus what nature thinks. What nature thinks, or what nature does, I should say, is the objective reality of things and how things should be. Everything that is unnatural is man coming in and conditioning it to go against its nature, to go against its biology, to go against its sex, to go against its chemistry. These kinds of things, right? And dogs are much more, again, agreeable. They're much more pack animals. They're much more packing creatures. Cats pack too, from time to time. But again, just in their nature, a cat is less of a pack animal than a dog. I mean, this is shown in like tigers, for instance, but I can't think of one canine that goes alone. I've never heard of it. So in that same sense, woman, the negative reactive principle, is the link for the man to that which is material, that which is the familiar, the family, that which is the roots. Because without the woman, the man, again, is unrooted completely, and he can completely disregard his family unit and his kids and all of these kinds of things. But with a woman involved, something changes in the man. Doesn't mean the man completely capitulates, completely becomes a second mommy, but there's some change in the man. So one more time, again, women are really influenceable and men are influential, but that's a double-edged sword, because if a man is not influencing a woman in a good way, she'll pick that up and tear the man down, because that's her job. She's the equilibrium. So again, the dog needs to know its place. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a captain needs to know when to put his foot down. And I went over this a little bit, but again, and why? Because women are much more emotional. They're much more tapped into that side of things. So again, they feel, they're empaths more so than men. I think I'm a pretty big empath, but I'm sure there are many more women that are better and more capable in that regard. So it's these kinds of things, because women are super tapped into other people's feelings, more so than men. Man is meant to, again, be able to chop someone's head off if the woman is in danger. But the woman, emotionally speaking, she wouldn't want to really kill the person, but she has to protect herself, you know what I mean? So the woman is kind of torn. But a man has an ability to almost sever his emotion and just carry out what is logical. Again, like a cat. Whereas a dog, more influential, more of an empath, more tuned in, and more dependent on the environment to its mood and its attitude, and all of these things. So yeah, when it comes to a cat, it's really hard to contain them. Again, they have to hunt if they're going to hunt. If they want to be territorial, they have to be territorial. With dogs, they're much more willing to capitulate. So again, with men, they're supposed to be less capitulating. They're supposed to be able to be territorial when they wish. And a dog don't respect a cat if it can't do what it wants when it wishes to. When the dog has the cat so tied down, the cat does not respect the dog anymore. Or sorry, the dog does not respect the cat anymore. Because the dog has no orders, no direction from the cat. And so now it makes up for a situation which we see right now, where the mother has to step up to be the father. And thank gosh, again, a lot of our women are strong enough to even try and attempt that, but it should not be what should be happening in the world stage. Women should not have to be compensating for the lack of masculine that exists in these weak-ass men. That's, again, the relationship going south is 100% the cat's responsibility for not, for enabling the dog or for being a bad leader in general. These kinds of things. So really, a female, again, and this is even expressed in kind of the loyalty aspect to it all. A female is loyal in the sense where she, sexual exclusivity. When a woman really likes you, right, she doesn't think about sleeping with other men. She can't think about sleeping with other men because, again, she has an emotional attachment, a connection to you. And I'm talking about real women, not the modernized, feminist, go have sex with everybody, polygamy woman. I'm talking about the real brand woman. A real negative principle is by your side and will never look at other men unless she's, things aren't working out with you. However, with a man, he's always looking at other women. So a man's form of loyalty is different from that of a woman. A man doesn't have value when it comes to offering sexual exclusivity, because it's such an easy engagement for a man when it comes to the reproductive act or the sexual act. There's a lot more risk 9-month pregnancy involved with a woman. There's a lot more at stake for her genetics and all these kinds of things. Whereas a man just wants to, again, spread the seed to as much land as possible. And of course, I'm not saying give your seed to everyone. Because real men know they should only be putting in the seed to someone that will recreate a healthy plant. So even when it comes to pregnancy and stuff, I'm going to do a show on that with Ben. We have to be cleaning things out a lot before it happens. So these kinds of things that we should be taking into consideration. And similarly to the value, a man's value here, one second, let me just close the door. A man's value is his attention. That's why a woman doesn't respect a man when the woman is all the man has in his life. Women actually kind of like it when they're competing for a man's attention. That's where the respect comes in, and that's what ties into loyalty too. That a man, again, needs to have other passions over a woman. Not better or worse, but just that he needs to have options. And when he has a lot of options, then the woman will be like, wow, this guy's time and attention is valuable, so I have to act accordingly. He doesn't just always give me attention, even when I'm being toxic or malignant, which could be caused by the man. But I'm just saying a high-value man doesn't tolerate that and wouldn't give the attention at all and wouldn't enable any kind of toxicity, would just end the situation, put the foot down. That's a real man, because if he continued to have this emotional exchange with a woman, it would get violent. And a real man doesn't use violence to that which is weaker than him. Because logically speaking, that's unfair. So you have to argue with logic. Again, a man's form of loyalty is provided with protection, providing these kinds of things. And his form of loyalty is having other options, other fruits he goes to, but returning to, this is an example Andrew Tate had, was who's more loyal? Actually, let me just show you that video. Let me just show you guys, because since we're not doing the lives, it's a lot better video-wise.
Let me ask you a question. There's two men, both of them go to a fruit store. One of them can...
Loud. Two men, both of them go to a fruit store.
Only afford apples. Every day he buys an apple, walks out the store and says, I love apples. But the truth is, motherfucker's broke and it's all he can buy. You have another G, walks in there, can have whatever he wants from the fruit store. 5 days a week he chooses an apple. Twice a week, sometimes he might have a big ass pineapple. He might mess it up with a banana. But most of the time, 5 days a week, he chooses the apple. Who would you say loves apples more? Who is more loyal? The man with no options who chooses the apple because he has nothing else he can go to? Or the man with all the options in the world who still keeps coming back to the apple? Let me ask you a question.
So great analogy there, and I love how he uses the apple, the forbidden fruit, so-called, right? Because again, a man who can only afford the apple, or only has the option for an apple, is a low-value man, which means the opposite is true. A high-value man innately has a lot of fruit he can choose from. So if he keeps returning to an apple, that is loyalty, even if once in a while he eats other fruit. Again, men don't have to have an immense emotional connection or attachment to have sex. It's just a fact. Consult your Bible, look at kings, sultans, sheikhs, emperors, everyone, right? I'm pretty sure even like Abraham and stuff had multiple wives and stuff. But this is because, again, a man does not show loyalty with sexual exclusivity. Sex is a very, it should be more important to the society right now, that's true, but in comparison with a man and a woman, the risk is much higher on a woman, and that is natural. But of course, right now, even the woman is risking it all, and it's because right now society is just having sex with whoever you want, and don't consider the person, just look at their makeup, don't look at their insides and all this kind of stuff. So that's what's happening, and that's not good. However, one more time, a man is made in such a way, like a cat, to conquest, to conquer, right? And it's not a personal thing that he's trying to make the female feel bad. No, it's just a higher value man happens to have more options. And it's unfortunate, but it's a reality, you know? So people just don't want to deal with biological realities these days. So, let's go into this a bit. Let's show some fantastic woman. Actually, this one's a little bit long. It's 4 minutes. Let's see if we can get a smaller one. Oh, actually, yeah, let's bring up that girl again, because now I downloaded it onto my computer. So this is a girl who was a feminist before.
Feminism is a scam. A few years ago, I was an angry, blue-haired feminist. I once believed that male privilege was real.
Let's just see if I'm showing everything right. Okay. Oh, let's do this. There we go.
And that I was a victim. Feminism is a scam. A few years ago, I was an angry, blue-haired feminist. I once believed that male privilege was real and that I was a victim of the wage gap. Now that I understand the true motives of feminism, I know that this could not be further from the truth, and that modern-day feminism is a war on true masculinity. Before women had the right to vote, most were stay-at-home wives, which meant they weren't working jobs and couldn't be taxed. Our overlords didn't like that. Rockefeller started funding feminist campaigns in media, and as a consequence of the movement, women started entering the workforce and leaving the home. Children would then be separated from their parents and sent to Rockefeller-funded schools to be indoctrinated by the state. All of this ultimately disrupting the family unit at its core. Feminism is defined as the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. But in the West, I must ask, what rights do men have that women don't? Modern feminists are convincing women that hookup culture, using hormonal birth control, and not shaving is liberation. That toxic masculinity is prevalent and the patriarchy must be dismantled. Through movies and media, we're taught that working for the man, climbing the corporate ladder, and paying tax is more empowering and valuable than raising the next generation. Women have lost touch with our natural loving instincts, and birth rates are plummeting. Men and women are not the same. And by protesting for equality of outcome rather than opportunity, feminists are demonizing and emasculating men. Feminism is a scam.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you know how hard it is to come across an attractive female who is not conditioned? You know how hard that is to come across? It's literally a diamond in the rough, needle in a haystack. I mean, at this point, I don't even know if they exist. It's like dwarves with dwarf women. We don't know where they went. Or the Ents with Ent women. They've turned all these women into men. So isn't that fantastic? Again, it's a government control mechanism to psychologically make the woman think that she is not free, right? Even though the patriarch is protecting the matriarch to make it so that the home is safe. But the woman wants to now leave the home and fight the battle with the man, so there's no one home to protect the child, and the child is indoctrinated by the state, and then it's just a cycle forever. And then a woman now is taxed, because again, it's this Rockefeller, Rothschild agenda. So again, how do you emasculate men, make them more and more obsolete in the workforce, where they need to be, and make this Homer Simpson type psychology? This is exactly how it's done. It's being shown right here. So let's go on to the next video. I don't know really how long I've been going for. But yeah, so there was another lady that was talking about Andrew Tate, and it's a little bit long. You can go watch it for yourself. I'll just kind of show you the cover. But essentially, what she's saying is like, you know, I think the bigger problem again is the institutions in the society, not Andrew Tate, who is being banned by the institutions in society, who is being censored. Why would you be censored unless you're speaking the truth, right? If you're speaking something dumb, they never censor it. And so all of these kinds of things, right? And yeah, so she just had some great points. So make sure you go watch that if you want to see another woman's point of view. But for the sake of time, I'm just gonna speed along here. But she had really great things to say. So let's show you guys this one.
Because they were not able to defend themselves against men who are bigger and stronger than them. Because
Whoa, don't say men are bigger and stronger than women. That's
I know. I'm bad.
You can't stereotype genders
My
that
bad.
way. I mean, science may say that's true, but it's obviously not true because that is hurtful to women. And I think that women are just as strong as men, and they should easily be able to combat men twice their size without a firearm. To think otherwise is, of course, ignorance and bigotry.
Because they were.
And this is what's being perpetuated, is this idea, especially corroborated in movies and stuff, that women are these ultra warriors, you know? And it's not a bad thing. Like, for instance, like Galadriel, she, like Princess Leia, they're warriors, but they realize their role in it all is the family, is the resistance, is the team that they take care of in the background. That's more important. Their love going to their team is more important than them fighting in the front lines, doing what a man has to do. So what Andrew Tate here, and this lady I love from the InfoWars, is just dismantling that, or you know, comedically taking apart this agenda to make it seem like what is logical is completely illogical, and just, you know, turning a society upside down. That's just absolutely crazy what's happening, guys. So let's see, next video is the orange man bad.
So if you become president, will a woman make the same as a man? And do I get to choose what I do with my body?
You're gonna make the same if you do as good a job.
We're gonna make the same if you do as good a job. That is considered offensive today. That is considered offensive.
Is gender equality
Today, truth is considered hate speech and offensive.
Desirable? If it means equality of outcome, then almost certainly it's undesirable. That's already been demonstrated in Scandinavia. Because in Scandinavia...
What do you mean by that? Equality of outcome is undesirable.
Well, men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. We've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme. And approximately the same male engineers to female engineers. And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny. But if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcome.
Is gender...
Oh. Equality of outcome is a myth. That's how they get you to hell, is completely neuter everyone's gender. So everything is just chaos. So again, what he's saying is it's natural for guys to be the bricklayers, for guys to be the engineers. It's natural for a woman to be a nurse, caring for other people. It's just what we're good at. It's just the awesomeness of humanity. It's not something to be ashamed of. We're so backwards, guys, you know, and pointing it out sounds crazy in today's world.
There's a difference between saying that there's something you can't say and saying that there are things that you have to say. And I regard these made-up pronouns, all of them, as the neologisms of radical PC authoritarians. Do you understand that? And I'm not a fan of that sort of person. And the reason I'm not a fan of that sort of person is because I've done my homework. I've read everything I can get my hands on in the development of authoritarian political systems, and I know the literature inside out and backwards. And I am not going to be a mouthpiece for language that I detest. And that's that. There's a difference between saying...
Jordan Peterson, saying it like it is. I'm not going to use your words. I'm not going to use your thoughts. I'm not going to use your conclusions. Okay? Because if I did, that would be antithetical to observation. If I observe someone else's method, that would be not intelligent at all. Intelligence is the ability to logically come to your own conclusions without needing to consider, is this going to offend someone or be hate speech? Am I going to be censored for this? That's why it's so dangerous when you cut people's ability to talk off. That's why I'm backing up everything on Rumble and stuff, because it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on, guys. So let's see. Oh, this video is unavailable, of course. Alrighty. Let's do that.
What do you think of it? Transgenders going and reading nursery stories and
leave the kids alone. If you want to chop your dick off, I have nothing against that. I'm not anti-gay. I'm not anti-transgender. I'm not anti any of these things. What I am anti is propagating your worldview on other people's children. If you're gay and you can't have kids, why do you now believe it's your right to go to other people's kids and tell them how to think? If you
if being gay is so great, why would you have to market and propagandize to other people to conform to this gayness? You see the fallacy?
Decided that the type of sex you...
Disclaimer, nothing against homosexuals. It's just we don't go out of our way to promote heterosexuality. So this isn't a homophobic statement. I'm just saying, why are we encouraging behavior if it's not unnatural? Right? If it's not unnatural, if it was natural, we wouldn't encourage it.
You want to have will prevent you from procreating. That's your decision, right? You've decided that having sex with women isn't worth it for you. You don't want to have children. You want to have sex with men. Fine, your decision, and you're entitled to it. That does not give you the entitlement to go to other people's families who did decide to have children and raise them and try and program their children. Leave the kids alone. You can be as transgender as you like. Don't come talk to my kid about it. That's my child. I will program my child with my worldviews. I raise them. I pay for them. They're my kid. They're not your kid. And they're not the government's kid.
What do you think?
And just like that other beautiful female girl who transmuted her feminism to, being a beautiful young lady, she said the same thing. It's the government trying to take your children, trying to indoctrinate your children. Same with the women. Same with the women. So again, he's saying, don't indoctrinate the damn kids. Leave the damn kids alone. That's what he's saying. And everyone hates him. Everyone hates him for saying things like this.
About us. A real groomer of children, which as a father, I find absolutely disgusting. And what's funny is, he came out and started saying that we do something wrong. This guy literally is, in fact, a child sexual groomer. Play the video and then let me talk about it a little bit, please.
The conversation begins. I told him that we meet when I was a kid, and he reminded me. He came back to mind.
So basically, this guy groomed this girl since she was 13 and used her for sexual acts, violated her, and basically just left.
13 years of age, and he groomed her through sexual conversation, promises of friendship, promises of collaboration. Yeah, you could do your YouTube channel. Heart 13 spoke to a 13-year-old child until she eventually let him have sex with her. Is out here saying my name and your name. Cancel this guy. And you know what, Rumble? Don't let this guy on Rumble. Cancel him too. Because that's actually fucking sick. The police should be sent to this man's house, but he should actually be arrested. He should actually be charged. He should actually serve jail time. This is disgusting. When I got sent this, I was like, but why? With skeletons in your closet, would you do this? You know who Daz is? Everyone look this up if you don't know who this man was. There was a man called the Reverend Ted Haggard. Now, he was famously outed. Look up the Reverend Ted Haggard. There are these men, meaning, say, he's probably grooming some right now.
He's a creep. He's a creep. Hey, look over there.
He has to point the finger so you look somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what happens with creeps. I'm not a creep. He's a creep. He's a creep. Hey, look over there. He's a creep. He's a creep. Hey, not me. Brother, we said to you on the last podcast, we said men with sexual access like us have no reason to break any fucking laws.
We're not dangerous.
We're
Women
not
want to have
dangerous.
sex with us.
We have no reason to hurt women. We have no reason to speak to underage women. We have unlimited sexual access. It's pieces of shit like you who have no choice. We're going to break the laws to try and get something because you have no fucking option.
We called it in the last fucking podcast before we knew any of this was real.
In the last podcast, we said it. We literally said men like him are dangerous to women. And then it turns out in the week after that, you're fucking talking to a 13-year-old. You're disgusting. You want to jump on the bandwagon and attack me, make some video with 9 million views, sitting there saying that I'm a danger to women and that women have come forward accusing me. And in his video, no women came forward. That was a lie. He had no proof of any woman. That was a lie. And then women come out and say that you're a fucking pedophile. Disgusting.
Girls, not women.
Absolutely disgusting. The pedophiles are the ones getting Andrew Tate censored. And Andrew Tate, Andrew Tate and Tristan, who's standing up against pedophiles, are the bad guys. Do you see how upside down this world is? The guys that are saying these weak men are a danger, we need more strong men so we can stop unethical, dangerous actions. Do you hear what I'm saying? Look, how upside down is it? Everyone hates Andrew Tate. Why? Because he speaks the truth. I mean, he like most of the time. Like the thing is, for instance, like someone like Archaics, for example, he doesn't have the best of habits. You know, Jason. Same with Andrew. He doesn't have the best habits, right? Like I would suggest they eat differently. I would suggest they wouldn't violate their own anatomy. All of these kinds of things, right? So they're not on the highest frequency. I admit. However, what they're saying is censored because it cannot be disproved by academia, institutions, establishments, corporations, and the social agenda. So because they're bulletproof from the social agenda, via speaking truth, they are now the bad guys, and everyone finds a scapegoat to hate. Just like Trump. What did Trump really do? When Trump builds the wall, it's racist. When Joe Biden builds the wall, he's so powerful, he suddenly, the wall's racism disappears and dissolves into La La Fairyland with all the pride dances and everything. Give me a break. Give me a break. So this is going to be a little bit of a kind of a harsh one, I suppose. Because again, I'm just going to be dropping bombs over and over and over and over. Actually, we'll do Patrice O'Neill next time. And actually, yeah, we'll do Kevin Simales next time too. So right before we get into anything more, let's consider this.
The Jungian idea is that what you most need will be found where you least want to look. So there's this story.
What you need most will be there where you don't want to look the most. Yeah? So I'm bringing you this message not because I'm a provocateur, not because I'm a triggering person, not because of any of this. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to put a flashlight on all the regions nobody is looking at. And I'm the bad guy. I'm the guy that's bringing what is in the dark to light. Yet everyone is saying that should be left covered. Why would you uncover my secrets? You need to be tamed. Excuse me, we need to all not have anything left to cover up. And I'll do another show on skin, by the way, too, but it's like our skin is not built to be covered up constantly. Maybe I'm in an excess and I'm not covered too much. Perhaps. I still wear pants, right? Perhaps. However, how much clothes we're wearing right now, how much chemicals we're wearing in the laundry right now, is a cover-up. So in the same sense, me coming and saying there's a problem with our habits when it comes to relationships and a man and woman, and man is acting like woman, submissive and being subjugated by a over masculine woman, and again, a woman is pretending that she is the man. I'm the bad guy for pointing that out. Excuse me. There's nothing bad about trying to heal.
King Arthur, there's this story of King Arthur. They're all in a round table, right? King Arthur and his knights, they're all equals. They're all superordinate, but they're all equals. And they go off to look for the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail is the container of the redemptive substance, whatever that is. It might be the cup that Christ used at the Last Supper, or it might be chalice that was used to capture his blood on the cross, right, when he was pierced by a sword. The stories differ, but that's the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail is lost. That's the redemptive substance, and the knights of King Arthur go off to search for the Holy Grail. But they don't know where to look. So where do you look when you don't know where to look for something you need desperately but have lost? Well, each of the knights goes into the forest at the point that looks darkest to him. And that's Jungian psychoanalysis in a nutshell. It's like that which you fear and avoid, that which you hold in contempt, that which disgusts you and that you avoid. That's the gateway to what you need to know. The Jungian idea.
Boom! Boom! We need to face our demons. If we see a demon, we look and we follow it. We don't run from demons, right? Every one of us has a responsibility to not run from the demons inside of us. Because if you're circulating toxins, you're circulating and feeding a demon. So when it comes to clear observation, how does one look with salvation, right? How does one look free of judgment so that in that clear perception, there is salvation? How does one be saved? By looking with clarity. How? There is no how, but to remain with what your disorderly conduct is. That's the only way you can get to the truth, is to uncover all of the lies. If there's one smidge of a lie in the foundation of what you call to be true, it's not true. So it's these kinds of things. We have to be able to look at all the lies, all the indoctrination, all of the conditioning. No matter how rooted we are, no matter how conformist we are, we have to die to the truth. There is no option. Because if you don't die, if the lie doesn't die, you're living in hell. Right? So again, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I'm not going to lie to myself or to others. It's against my nature. And I am done doing what is unnatural. I'm completely done with it. So again, how do we come back to what is natural? We look at our unnatural things. At the time of harvest, we pull up the weeds and we burn the shit out of them. That's what needs to happen. And that's what people are putting off right now, is the lies they're burying. And in burying their lies, they're burying themselves under those lies. So take off the burden. Realize there is no burden, only that which you choose to keep on as a victim, saying, I'm this is my weight, these kinds of things.
Girl, who talks?
So it's just absolutely insane. What is happening today is absolutely insane. And all of our conditioning needs a good spanking. Because it's really stupid. Our conditioning, what stops us from reaching heights is, again, the limit of the conditioning. That's it. Wow, all these things are getting banned off of YouTube. And your Tate, just so many things.
For 9 months.
If you're not gonna, sorry, my headphones fell off. If you're not gonna have children, what are you gonna do with your lives?
If I'm not gonna have children, travel, just pursue anything that makes me happy. Try to make money. I love traveling, so I would probably just
Drink cocktails on the beach. Okay, next.
About the same thing, like travel, focus on my career, things like that. Like my career will become my baby.
What about you?
I honestly just want to get right into my career.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
What do you want to do in life?
Right now, so I go to the University of Miami. I'm majoring in interactive media. What I want to do with that is build virtual reality simulators for the military. Then I'm also minoring in motion pictures. I'm interested in acting and shit like that. Yeah,
Miss Cuba, what about you?
Do whatever the fuck I want.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Well, I plan on becoming a doctor. So I'm just my career.
Your career.
I'm
Okay.
passionate about it, so
A life without children is vapious, and it's inane, and it's pointless.
So notice how all the women are speaking in terms of men's success. They're speaking in terms of societal positions and values that men have achieved in the past. Therefore, they think that's the highest thing. Why don't women see other heights outside of the workforce? You see what I'm saying? New heights with how we treat children, new heights with our community, new heights in this regard. Why are we so concerned to think like a man, to go out into the world alone and deal with that brutal business, contractual world? Just a question to ask while we're listening to what Andrew has to say.
about it, so
A life without children is vapious, and it's inane, and it's pointless. And you may sit here and think that your career matters, but the truth is that your job will fire you out of whim and not give a solitary shit. And when you're 52 and you're past it with no grandchildren in a house by yourself, and all your friends have grandchildren in this beautiful life, and you're sitting there by yourself, do you think the fact that you can afford a few extra Gucci bags is going to genuinely make you feel happy? I was at my grandmother's 93rd birthday. I looked there. My grandmother had 9 children, because there was my father and 8 more. They all had a bunch of kids, blah, blah, blah. I stood there and I looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. Isn't that remarkable? Yeah, that nobody cared about her career. Nobody asked what job she did. Nobody asked how many times she went to the club. Nobody asked if she had time to go to festivals. No, you had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. That is beautiful. And if you sit here and genuinely think that you're going to work your ass off through your fertile years, and by the age of 54, you're not going to be suicidal alone with a cat, then you're dumb. The happiest women on earth have children and a man who's paying the bills and their mothers. The happiest people on earth. I guarantee it. Your mothers, ask your own mother, do you regret having me? She's going to say, of course not. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. So now you're going to sit here and you're going to end your own bloodline? All your ancestors were out there surrounded by saber-toothed fucking tigers trying to...
So yeah, you get the idea. Women have such a powerful capacity to bring life into the world, yet they completely disregard this and act like a man. They completely disregard their strengths. That in the business, brutal competition world, the patriarch wins. So why are women trying to compete with a patriarchal system? Why not focus on that which is the matriarch? Why not focus on making the family unit stronger, raising the children better, feeding them better food, not indoctrinating them with your own habits and your own conditioning and your own beliefs of what is natural? That is entirely unnatural. So again, a woman is right now doing a job that most average Western women are doing, jobs that are completely abnormal to their nature. Not that men are doing great jobs either, but I'm just saying, again, back then women had it better when they didn't have to work a job, and that their life-giving principle was respected and guarded. But now that women are elbowing men out of their own fulfillment and their own sense of responsibility, who's going to protect the woman? Who's going to provide for the woman to have children? Nobody. And so like he's saying here, the grandmother, she's not known for her great societal feats. No, she's the one who built this freaking family, just like Mother Earth. She doesn't care about status. She's completely naked. She doesn't put on a front. Just like when Sebi always goes into it, right? The mama from the jungle, she was without sin. She didn't need a book. She didn't need clothes. She didn't need law and order because there was no sin where the pure mother was. So now why are we trying to make the mother, right, elbow out the father's role? It's not it. It ain't it. So as I'm going in and slowly dismantling the Hive mindset, yeah, today we're just going to focus on Andrew Tate because everyone hates him, and I like to focus on people that the world hates because usually it means they have something unifying and good to say. They don't like unifiers. They don't like people like Malcolm, right? Martin Luther, right? They don't like JFK. They don't like when they start talking about bringing race together. That's a no-no. Same with Trump. They don't like it when races get together. They just don't like it. We can't work together.
Don't listen, you don't learn. So
Well,
you might not have that experience because you yourself, I see that you are a white man, so you may not have that personal experience.
Actually, you're wrong. Can you load a picture?
He
of my,
has.
Can you load a picture?
Where's the respect, right? Where's the respect for another man? She knows nothing about him, and she's just characterizing and generalizing, and that's okay for a woman to do that. She gets off with no repercussions. The moment, especially a white man does it, it's the end of the world in today's society, right?
White skin, and he is a man.
Can you put a picture of my? Can you
You're wrong.
Google and put a picture of my father on the screen, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Your
Yes.
dad is a black man.
I'm mixed race.
You're
Yes.
you're
I'm mixed race,
biracial.
so I'm half
Yes.
black and half white. So you can't give me the whole race argument, white man garbage.
white
That's your only
passing.
cop out. You can't do that to me. And the whole thing
Fail.
is Eurocentric bullshit. Listen to me. We have so because you just failed on step one by identifying me incorrectly. So
I'm not knowing you. I don't know you.
Of course you don't know me. So you're there. You go. I don't know you, so I'm guessing you failed. So
You did the same thing earlier to me.
how? Where? In which area have I once
We
failed?
can
when
run it
discussing
back
with
to
you?
the first 10 minutes.
You don't want to run this interview back because when you run it back, you're gonna see yourself get smoked the whole way through. So listen, my dear, listen. Curvy is a good thing. I agree that women need more body fat to have children. I agree. We're not talking about
A man who doesn't let things slide, a man who calls a woman out when she's emotionally lashing out and being illogical is just an absolute, oh my gosh, what are we seeing? We've never seen this kind of, what do you call it, social dynamic before. How is this possible? A man is actually in control of the situation and doesn't let some other emotional condition complex come and ruin the truth he's about to humbly bring. You see what I'm saying? And people look at this as a misogynistic man, never once thinking, what if the woman is acting a lot like a man right now? And a man is putting a woman back into her womanly place.
curvy women. Listen, I love a curvy chick. We're not talking about curvy women. We're talking about obese females. There's nothing wrong with talking about obesity, whether male or female. It's because there is a genetic disadvantage to being obese, male or female, right? You don't want no fat man, some really fat dude. You don't want no fat son. The same reason. So what Myron does very cleverly on this podcast is he tells the truth in a way that females have never heard. And because they've never heard it, they get instantly angry. But what you need to do is resist the slave mind.
So wait,
Relax and say, you know what? You know what?
Very
You need to take a deep breath and go, she was fat. And chill. You ain't fat. None of you are fat, so don't worry about it. Chill. In Romania, you see literally zero fat people. And the reason for that is because it's not socially acceptable. Fat shaming works to the point where people will train just for vanity. And I'll tell you that I live in a society where there's no obese people. I'll go in the club, you will not see a single female whose body isn't bad, head to toe. Why? Because it's only socially acceptable to be that way. So as much as we hate on body shaming, once again, femcentric mind view, when Myron says something, you think only women get body shamed.
No.
You think
it's potentially biologically sane to look at something that is fat and realize, oh, that is not the optimum way for an organism to operate? You think that's not natural? Why do we have to curb our natural, obvious, logical conclusions to some illogical, theoretical, ideological thing, right? So in today's society, if you say an overweight woman is overweight, It's just the end of the world. And that's why we're enabling more women to be overweight. We're enabling more men to be losers and overweight and staying at home and gaming. I was a part of that conditioning at one point, guys. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying let's all collectively look at the imperfections that are so blatantly obvious instead of sweeping them under the rug. So let's listen to what he has to say.
You think dudes don't get body?
Because no one else wants to listen. They just want to make quick judgments. So we're going to do our due diligence, our responsibility to actually hear what this guy has to say before pretending like we're already fact checker professionals on him.
Dudes have it worse. Dudes have it worse because as a female, if you work hard, you can always have a good body. If you're born short as a dude, you see them all here in the chat having breakdowns. You are more ruthless. You are more ruthless on dudes, right? Men grow up looking at He-Man, and women grow up looking at Barbie. And women are gonna be like, oh, they expect me to be like Barbie. It's Eurocentric. Yeah. Crying their eyes out. I don't cry my eyes out. Everyone expects me to be like He-Man. What I do is I get some guns and I end up like fucking He-Man. I do my job. So there's nothing to do with Eurocentricity. That's bullshit. That's slave mind garbage. Feminist, racist, garbage crap that's been put in your brain that you need to resist absolutely. Nothing to do with Eurocentricity.
Yeah, I think that's enough for this clip, but you get the idea. Is why don't we step up to the occasion? Why are we spending our whole lives avoiding it? Why are we spending our whole lives avoiding the challenge, avoiding the question, never once thinking, hey, maybe things aren't as they should be? You know, we're all just so willing to go along to the slaughter, and it's going to end up with no real strong men, all weak men, unable to stand up for the woman, and again, the entire society is going to be raped, violated, and pillaged. So emasculating a man doesn't solve anything. And making a woman over masculinized because of an emasculated man also doesn't solve everything. So we have to start looking at quick fixes and actually start looking at the deeper roots of the problem and see what is really wrong here. Where's the miscommunication happening? This is a good one. Let's go into it. Okay.
Before she's like, oh well, we've never tried matriarchies. We've only tried patriarchies. Blah blah blah. And I said, listen, bitch. Yes, they have been tried, but the problem is this. The problem is this.
Yeah.
The closer you are to the base level of survival, the more people naturally revert to their gender roles. If we were all, if 10 men and 10 women were on a boat and they got shipwrecked, the men would instantly start shelter, fire, hunting, and the women would start doing the women things. When you get rid of all the crap and all the society and all the programming, people will revert to their gender roles. The reason we do that is because it gives us the best possible chance of survival. That's why in poor countries where survival is harder, people are closer to their natural gender roles.
Totally.
Right? Totally. So that makes sense as a whole. So this feminist is saying to me, oh yeah, but we've never tried a matriarchy. I said, no, I'm sure it's been tried. The problem is it's very, very difficult to survive under a matriarchy. It's not the natural gender roles. And the matriarchies that did exist, feminists before, she's like, oh, well, we've never tried matriarchies. We've only tried patriarchies.
Okay, so you get the idea again? So if we examine history with archaicist data, again, the matriarch rose against the simulation, but she found she had to work with the patriarch. Because every time they came into contact, the patriarch pulverized the matriarch and enslaved them or whatever, right? So just like in Star Wars, just like the princess, was it Luke Skywalker's mother? Yeah, Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker's mother. She was going to the council and pleading to the patriarch. She's the matriarch of the people, right? And she's saying to the patriarch, we need to work together. You need to help stop being corrupt. That's how it needs to go. Right? We need to stop seeing a division between patriarchy and matriarchy. The patriarch is the shepherd kings that had rule of order and law. The matriarch happened to be the more less developed, right? That's why when they come into contact in war, of course, lawlessness always loses to law, right? And so again, the lawlessness, the disorder, the order, and the law needs to come together and work together. So again, by diminishing the patriarch, the matriarch is diminished as well. That's what needs to be understood, that strong men allow for strong women to come into being, or allow that space to basically put down any wrongfully powerful woman, as we see today with these Instagram and attention just littered everywhere where it shouldn't be, and instant gratification everywhere. Yeah, there's been a lot of increase in these so-called queens that are not real queens deep down. And that's why when you catch the queen, the whole hive mind falls down. So again, we're in a process of catching the queen right now, folks. I don't think I'm going to go too much longer, but let's see. Because I talked about a lot of things that he brings up here. Oh, and I forgot, at the end of that fat shaming video, he says they're just trying to get us to fight, the women and males to fight, and the top whatever elites are laughing at the agendas they're perpetuating, which is the only way they can break the will of the human race, is by turning women against men and men against women. So I guess I'll talk about the friend zone, or actually let's show the video. So it's good to know why men shouldn't be always trying to have female friends, right? Because really they're pretending, right? They want to have sex with them, yet they're being real docile and thinking, if I pretend for long enough, maybe she'll slip up and sleep with me. So that's what's being talked about here.
From the new,
this sneaky beta male tactic. You see what I'm saying? It's better to be an alpha male and be upfront about it and say, I don't look at you platonically, or I do look at you platonically, and then hash it out from there. What's happening right now is people are trying to get into relationships through lying, like men and stuff. So here.
New World Order. They're deliberately trying to turn women against men. They have to divide the peasants. That's the only way the elites can retain control. They turn the blacks against the whites, the Democrats against the Republicans, the women against...
They're laughing, but it's true. This is how it is done.
The men. It's all a psyop, and they do it purposefully. Listen, a revolution is nothing more than men standing in one place and saying this shit has to change. The reason there's no revolution, despite the absolute tyranny we experience here in the Western world, is because most men aren't allowed out the house because their wife will get mad at them.
Most men are Homer Simpson. Most men are nicely trained and domesticated dogs.
You have to be home at 10 o'clock. Come home. Yeah. You're not allowed out.
But what about the kids? Should he be home?
Sure, you should be home for your kids. But my point is, you're not going to feel like a king or feel brave enough to go and rebel against the New World Order if you don't even feel in charge of your own house. If you're not a king in your own house, then how are you a king anywhere else, right? And the law is set up in from the New World Order.
Amen. If you're not the king of your own house, how are you supposed to lead anything outside of the house? Again, these kinds of things. It's so logical and apparent to me. I can't believe people actually hate on this guy. He's the only one that's saying some form of truth, even if it's not fully there and he's still doing this carnivore parasite diet, right? At least this guy who's doing the carnivore diet, like Joe Rogan, sometimes bashes on the agenda. We need to grow a pair of balls, gentlemen. We need to say that which is unsaid because women will respect us for it. Just because you curl up into a docile little ball doesn't mean a woman respects you. So again, I'm just going to end with this for this one, and I'll go further into it on a different show. Andrew Tate, Patrice O'Neill, Kevin Samuels, maybe a little bit less of Andrew. But yeah, I just wanted to characterize and show to you guys that it's the man's responsibility. If things are going wrong, it's the man's responsibility, 100%. Because he always has the option of saying, get off of my ship. That you're no longer a beneficial force to the ship. You're obstructing the mission that needs to be carried out. So step off the ship or stay or get in line. Men have to be more clear like this and stop dancing around the edges. and playing a woman's game. So yeah, yin and yang must work together. And we must respect that there's an active principle and a passive principle. I love you guys.